So, good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back again with the Real Talk podcast. Yes, happy Monday. Start the week off right, listening to JEZ'S and Kenny talking through and dissecting the weekend. How are you, JEZ'S? How you been, mate?
All good, mate. All good. Great result of the weekend. I think that's probably one of the most exciting ends to a game I've seen in a very, very long time, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, it's great, wasn't it? Brilliant. And onwards we move yet again. And I'm up in Islington tomorrow for a mate of mine's 60th birthday. And there's going to be a major piss up tomorrow. 40 of us meeting up with wives, obviously. And then in the evening, we're going for a curry. And the bloke who he's booked the whole curry restaurant about 4 months ago. So it's going to be a riot, absolute riot. Looking forward to it, can't wait.
No, it should be good, man. Enjoy it. How are you, Kenny?
Yeah, my weekend's nice. Arsenal won. Enjoyed myself. Enjoyed watching it. I'll still stick to my guns in terms of like how you view the match. I think people who try and analyse the good parts and not analyse all of it shouldn't be watching football anyway. But also, I just find it extraordinary that how people call out the Rat Army. Yeah, when it comes to actually confront of us, either to our faces or on a podcast, they know it'll be seen. You know what, mate? You can't always have your mates to back you up, mate. You really got to, if you're going to call it out, mate, and call us Rat Army and make accusations against the Rat Army, you've got to be able to back it, no one's going to think less of you. If you come, we have a discussion, but can't hide behind Terence all the time, mate. Terry can't help you. He can't help you, mate, against the Rat Army. We're formidable. We've got experience of going to Arsenal. Even one of us have got 10 times more experience than you have going to the Arsenal, mate. So all I've got to say is, Rat Army.
Rat Army. Well said. Listen, make sure you are smacking the like button up. Make sure you are subscribing to JEZ'S channel, Arsenal History and More in description. Make sure you follow Kenny Ken 1972 on Insta. That link is also in the description. If you're watching on playback, so is Lee Reacts. The second channel is flying with subscribers at the minute. So big up to everybody who has subbed to that. It's the pinned comment on Facebook and in the live chat on YouTube if you're watching live. Fallon, that is in the description. So check that out. Make sure you smash the like buttons. And before we get started, let's answer this super chat. What do you think is wrong with our defense? Let me go with you, Jez. What do you think is wrong with our defense? Because we've looked extremely shaky recently.
We have. I think we've just got a few. I think we've got a few players there, Lee, that are lacking a little bit of confidence. I mean, Ben White has not been the Ben White he was before he went to that World Cup, and I don't know why. I'd love to know why. The story was he came back from the World Cup because of family issues. Maybe there are. I don't know. I've got no evidence to say that. I think also I don't like Zinchenko at left back, Lee. He's not the man. We have a top class. I got criticised the other day for calling him world class. Well, I think he is world class personally. In Kieran Tierney, personally, I do. I think he's great.
I haven't paid him to say that. He said it himself.
Yeah,
my left back.
Look, I mean, yeah, this is another. I'll just quickly come on to that. Everybody thinks that whatever I say is what Lee says. No, it's not. I've got my opinion. I'm older than Lee. Then, therefore, I will say what I say, and I don't care if anybody doesn't like it, because this is not a mug that actually gives a shit. So, there you go. Now, I think Zinchenko is not the man. I think he should be in midfield. Why are we not playing Kieran Tierney? I've no idea. I think he works far better with Martinelli down that left flank. And I'm not criticising Zinchenko. He's a decent player. I just don't want him as a left back when we've got a far better left back. And I think it causes us issues. I've said it time and time again, Lee and Kenny. Every time Zinchenko tracks into that midfield, it exposes us down the left flank. Frank, don't like it. Don't like it. Plus, our midfield at this time is misfiring. There's a great comment just a minute ago about Partey. Yes, I agree with that comment. So, yeah, we are. Yeah, that's the one. Kieran says, yeah, plus Partey protects the defence. He does. We haven't got him at the moment, and I don't know how long he's going to be out. And we are misfiring. I'm sorry to say. We've got to be very careful, mate. We've got to be very, very careful because it could cost us.
100%. I think also the fact that Zinchenko does cut into midfield, I think that does isolate that left-hand side for us, because it means that our forward in that position, whether it be Trossard or Martinelli, don't get any service, don't get any help, don't get overlapped. And then they cut deep, drop deep, and then we literally have to just go down the opposite side with Saka. But then on an overturn real quick, that was great in the first part of the season. It was no drama, no problema. In the second half of the season, maybe tiredness has caught up. Maybe we've been figured out down that side. I don't know. But at the same time, he is a good footballer, Zinchenko. But I don't want to see him at left back. And I know why he plays there. And I get people going, you don't know ball. Well, I know a left back when I see one, mate. And he definitely ain't one. What do you make of our defensive frailties recently, Kenny?
Well, I think what's happening, sometimes, there's loads of factors. Obviously, the factors JEZ'S mentioned is Zinchenko playing inverted, like left back. But also there's situations where, I think Saliba, although he found his bit of his form, probably against Villa, he's been out of form since the World Cup as well. Also, Benjamin White, he's been out of form, which is factual. And the main thing about it is that teams, when they play against Arsenal, especially Everton, they get in Partey's face. So when they get in Partey's face, that enables them, if they can break through Partey, they get straight out back four. So they're not just making inroads down our right-hand side, down their right-hand side, our left-hand side, where Zinchenko's vacating the space. They're also, because Benjamin White is sometimes getting, like I said, out of sorts, Partey's having to come in to try and help him down that right-hand side. So what's happening? That's leaving space down the middle. So if you look at the goals we conceded, especially against Man City and Villa, you look at the goal, the second goal for Villa, and the second and third goals for Man City. You notice extra man. They're an extra man during those periods, and that's because they're making inroads in through our midfield. Players are sort of being dragged out of position. So if you look at Villa's goal, the crossfield pass down the left-hand side, my guy's out of position, Benjamin White. And then what's happened? So when Benjamin White's taken out of the game, there was like a couple of passes, a little dummy, space for Coutinho to put that ball in the net. It's all because players have been dragged out of position. We're getting sort of how I say it, we're getting overmanned in the attacking area. So basically, attackers have the extra man. Then you look at the Man City's goal, the second goal. Same thing happened. They go down our left-hand side, put a cross in. What's his name? Bernardo Silva has enough time, to just hold the ball, flick it, because he knows Jack Grealish is the extra man because all our players are getting dragged out of position. And the same thing with the third goal with Haaland. Same thing, out of position, down our left-hand side. Quick passes. De Bruyne makes the cross. Bernardo Silva drags defenders out of position. Haaland gets the ball, boom, one touch, puts the ball in the net, and that's the thing. A lot of times, even during the Everton game and Brentford, what's happening is that teams are always getting the extra man in attack whenever they hit us, not just down a counter attack, but it's even when they play through the middles, because again, Partey's getting out isolated and pressed, and what's happening is that our other players are not quick enough to sort of get out and get that extra man. So when they move the ball quickly, it's always a spare man. The amount of clear-cut chances we're giving up to the opposition. Aston Villa, how many clear-cut chances Aston Villa have? How many clear-cut chances did Man City have in that second half? Everton had clear-cut chances. Common denominator. Isolate Partey, basically, because Partey can't protect the defence, our defenders, especially the back four, are out of position. Zinchenko's playing inverted. Just go for those spaces, get an extra man. Either our goalkeeper's having to make a worldie, or they're missing sitters, and that is the common denominator, and that's something we need to work out. So it's not just Partey who we miss. We need to look at the situation with Zinchenko and say to Zinchenko, right, when we're in attack, yes, we've got 63% of the possession normally we play. That's fine. But when the opposition get the ball in attacking areas, not just on the counter attack, but when they're trying to build attacks, we need you out there, mate. We need you out there because I don't want Gabriel panicking and then having to go out that area you're vacating, which is leaving in a space in the middle. The same with Benjamin White. I love the fact that you're overlapping, but I also want you to do what you're paid to do is defend, because I don't want the same sort of thing, either Saliba coming out to help you out or Partey being dragged out, because again that leaves space in the middle. So that's all the areas which is causing us problems that wasn't evident during before the World Cup, when we had that intensity, we had that energy, and we weren't leaving those little gaps. Now, and again, another common denominator as well. Eddie's got to hold the ball up a bit better. I like the fact Eddie can run those channels. I like the fact that he can harry defenders. But if he holds the ball up a bit better, then what will happen is that we can plug those gaps that the opposition are getting into. So it's all sorts of things. Gabriel Martinelli as well is not doing his job. He's not helping out the left back. And Saka's trying to do his best. But the fact is that getting dragged out of position because people are not using their metal and leaving gaps. So if you look at, I say to a lot of people watching this show, go and watch the goals we conceded, and you'll see everything I was talking about. The gaps, players having to cover players who are out of position, leaving an extra man in for a tapping.
100%. This comment here says, I agree with JEZ'S last fan cam. I'm not convinced due to a lack of sustainability. Have we played well for 90 minutes all season? I don't think we've played well for 90 minutes in many games, but I do think we've played well for 60 to 75 minutes in a lot of games this season, which has been enough to kill teams off. I think the problem we've got this second part of the season is tiredness. Yeah, the fact that Jesus is out of the team, also everything you guys just said about that left-hand side and about our defense. Jesus, massive miss, because he's the overlapper. He's the one that goes round the back of either Martinelli or Trossard, as it'll be now, which allows Zinchenko to stay in midfield, which allows Xhaka or Partey to drop in at left back. Yeah, so with Jesus not buzzing around, it's kind of a bit of a mismatch when we go into games now, and it's all one-sided, all lopsided. We've all seen the heat maps and the average positions. Martinelli's isolated on his own most of the game. It's kind of mad. I'm glad he scored, though. And I'm glad that he's absolutely rattled so many people. And I want to ask you about that, Jez, because there's so many people. Gabby Agbonlahor on TalkSport crying about, oh, it was disrespectful. Disrespectful to run along celebrating his goal before it went in. I am so glad they celebrated that goal really hard as well. Do you know why? 2 reasons. Number one, it triggered everyone, which is great. And number 2, I'm not saying that is the reason Man City didn't beat Nottingham Forest. But imagine if you're sat in the dressing room as Man City and you're thinking, boy, just pulling my socks up, get my shin pads in. Yeah, that lot are dropping 2 points. And then all of a sudden, bang, bang, 2 goals. So psychologically, that's a big blow for City. Now, listen, they missed 100 million chances in that game. Like Haaland's ball's just entered Spanish airspace today, because that's still circling orbiting around the world. And Foden falling over, they were missing chance after chance after chance. But maybe that's because of that last couple of minutes of the game where we scored them 2 goals. Maybe in their head, they've psychologically took a big dent, which is why they dropped points. Because that goal that they conceded, literally nobody near him, mate. Nobody was near Chris Wood. He was literally at the back stick on his own. It's like, where are all your defenders? Like, all sucked in over there, ball watching. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because we see earlier in the season people crying about Richarlison doing kick-ups and that. Yeah, now they're crying that Martinelli's like celebrating before the goal goes in. Why can't he celebrate before it goes in? He's clean through.
Exactly. It you know, I just don't understand. It's no different to when you see an international rugby player does a swan dive to score a try. Why? It doesn't. I don't give a shit about it. You know, I mean, fair play to the fella. He got the breakaway. He skinned the defender. Agent Martinez basically gave us the game. And why not? Why not do that? Be on the Titanic. Yes, you know, and slot it. The only thing I thought was funny, he actually waited until he was in the 18-yard box to kick it, because he could have scored that from 25 yards, because that defender was 10 yards behind him, and he's never going to get there. But no, fair play to the fella, loved it. I mean, that's one of the most exciting ends to a game I've seen in a very, very, very long time. And if it upsets and triggers people, which in this woke world that we now live in, good. Good. I hope it winds them up. I hope it upsets them, makes them cry, because that's the sort of thing, Lee, Kenny, and the chat, that is the sort of thing that we need at Arsenal Football Club. Because I'm fed up with these people saying, oh, well, I've got so rattled on Sunday seeing people say, oh, well, top four's the aim. Sod top four. This is elite football. This is Arsenal Football Club. And there was a guy calling me out in your chat, Lee, saying, oh, Jez, you're talking rubbish because Arsenal went 45 years without winning a trophy from 1886 to
that geezer's seriously, mate. He must be bored. I've seen him put about 300 different comments over video. He just copied and pastes.
I replied back to him and saying, get your facts right, mate, because in that 45-year period, Arsenal had 4 different names.
Exactly. These people don't get it. They don't get it, mate.
You know, and I said, can you name me all four names that they were? And he hadn't replied. There you go. I gave him a hint. I said, well, the first one was Dial Square. But there you go. I mean, it's pathetic.
Mate, that same fella, by the way, put a comment in weeks and weeks back saying that his dad was going in the Herbert Chapman era. Yeah, I said, how old's your dad? Like, he must be 100 years old. Like, this is what we're dealing with on the internet, people. Yeah, his dad must be in his hundreds. That's what he said. I swear down, he put on a video. Yeah, I know exactly what guy you're on about. He's got a little purple emblem thing. Yeah, can't remember his name. He put, my dad was going. My dad, I spoke to my dad the other day, and he was going during the Herbert Chapman era. I replied back, your dad's over 100 years old. All right, mate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, come on. The geezer's about 15. Like, how old was your dad when he had you, mate? Like, turn it in. These people are hilarious, mate.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, I'm sorry. My granddad first saw them in 24. He saw the Herbert Chapman era, and he died in 2002 at the age of 98. So don't quite equate that, mate. Sorry, not seeing that one.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But no, honestly, I think the fact that we've triggered so many people is great. It's class, isn't it? And the thing is, like, let's let it sink in. I agree with you as well, Jez. Yeah, I think that was the maddest ending to a game I've seen for a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the maddest ending to a game that we've probably seen, unless I'm totally not thinking straight, since Leicester and Tottenham last season, where Bergwijn scored 2 goals in a minute when they were losing. Do you remember that? They were losing, and then they went bang real quick and scored 2 goals in stoppage time.
You couldn't make it up, mate. It's Roy of the Rovers, if you guys remember him, in the old football mag.
Roy Rovers, Roy Race, Milchester Rovers.
Yep. Yeah, you can't make it up. It's classic. I loved it. I was going mental in here.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Kenny, we obviously started the day second. We ended the day first, and we have a game in hand. I don't think anybody expected Man City to get a draw away to Forest. Big up Chris Wood scoring his first goal for about 16 years.
Yeah.
Big up to Erling Haaland smashing the ball out the stadium after hitting the bar from 4 yards. Big up to Phil Foden falling over clean through on goal. Like, everything that could go for us that weekend went for us, man. And now I think obviously we've had a couple of games Obviously, we've been pouring in them games up until the weekend. Do you see that as a turning point now that, right, we've got that little blip out the way. We've got Leicester away next. We've got a whole week to work up for that game. It ain't like we've got a game in midweek and then a game at the weekend. Not only that, Man City do have Champions League on Wednesday as well. They've got Leipzig. So, and they're doing well in Germany this season. Now, I think they're only a couple of points or 1 point off top. So, do you see that that's advantage us? Obviously, if you're looking on paper, yes, we have got the advantage points wise and game in hand, but is it still advantage us?
Yeah, it's advantage us because if we keep it in and we keep on, if we're in Man City behind the 8 ball, it's difficult for Man City to make inroads, and they're going to need snookers just like Man United, because everyone's talking Man United being in the race. But I think, at the end of the day, I've looked at the fixtures, and if you want to be like a pernickety, the only difficult fixture Man City have got is probably Liverpool at home in April. Apart from that, all their games are winnable. And if I suppose you want to put Newcastle might, like stink the place out when they get them at the Etihad. But apart from that, they got just some winnable games. We've got some competitive games. Liverpool away is not going to be easy. Let's just cut from the able. I was being in my ignorance. I want to apologise to everyone because one of the games they got is us. So that's a 6-pointer between us and Man City. But judging by the way Man City turned us over, we'll have to say Man City the favourites. So the reason why everyone says it's advantage is Arsenal. The fact is that we've got a wretched record against Man City. We've got a wretched record at Anfield. And Newcastle, we didn't exactly pull up trees. So all we have to rely on is just taking it one game at a time. It's going to go to the wire. If you think about our record at Anfield, our record against Man City and Newcastle being a bit tricky. And let's not forget, Crystal Palace are just one of those teams that are annoying. They're just like the annoying seasonal bumblebee or wasp who just won't go away. That for some reason they love playing at the Emirates. They actually play better at the Emirates than they play at their grade.
We haven't got Mustafi this year though, Kenny.
But even so, last season they gave us a thundering, a great shallacking. It was only a last-minute goal from Lacazette that saved their bacon. They murdered us.
Yes, I remember when he jumped in the crowd. I remember that 95th minute equaliser jumping in the crowd.
Yeah, do you remember the Xhaka game when we were 2-0 up and it was 2-2 when Xhaka threw his shirt in disgust? Then you had the 2019, the game you're talking about when for some reason Mustafi just had a Willie Young moment. So, that won't be easy. But all I'm saying is that, it's all about, people say advantage us. This is going to go into the last game on the 28th of May, where we got Wolves at home and Man City got Brentford away. So 2 major events in London are happening. One in West London, near the River Thames in Hounslow, where Brentford will be playing Man City, and then one in the heart of Islington, where we'll be playing Wolves. That is where the title's going to be decided. I don't know who's going to be in front, but judging by the way, the game, the way things are going, judging by the fact that Liverpool are difficult to beat at the Anfield, even though they're playing inconsistently. And then you've got our 6 point against Man City. I think that when we talk about advantages us, it's nice. It's good for the pundits to talk about advantages us. But I think looking further down the line, both teams will drop points. It just depends who's got the biggest metal.
The cojones, as Troy Deeney once said. The cojones.
Yeah, one thing is, though, Lee, and we can only talk about the experience from last season and the season from the 2018-2019 season, is that if Man City do go in front, it's going to be very difficult to overhaul them, because what they did when they were competing against Liverpool, every time Liverpool won big, Man City went and won, and vice versa. So once Man City do get an advantage getting into the, like the championship rounds, then my pessimistic side will have to concede the league, but we'll be very proud of the players by the fact that they give us a title challenge. We can't let Man City get into the lead during the championship rounds, because if they are, then they're going to be very, very difficult to overhaul.
Did you think the fact that they're still in the Champions League, they're going to have one eye on that more so, because he's never won it without Messi, and that's the thing that'll be in his head.
it did affect them in 2019 when they were in the Champions League quarterfinals. Liverpool got to the final. It didn't affect either team. And last season, Liverpool got to the final. Man City got to semis. It didn't affect them at all. You know, they're a machine. And let's not forget, we've got a thin squad, whilst Man City got a squad thick full of internationals, top class internationals who, if they do play, especially in the midfield and the flanks, it doesn't affect, you know, the quality of their play. So really, really and truly, they got the squad for the Champions League and the Champions League, FA Cup and the league Premiership. We only got a squad for the Premiership. I don't think we've even got a squad for the Europa League, because when it comes to the business end of the season, when we be playing really good teams in Europa League, we're going to have to play our best team, because we haven't won in Europe for 29 years. So they're more well equipped to play in Europe and, you know, playing the Premiership than us, because of the fact the squads are like night and day when it comes to, you know, the thickness of the squads.
Great comment here as well that I want to highlight, because he wasn't in training again today. Thomas Partey.
No.
We have to talk about how good Thomas Partey is, but almost also how much of a liability he is to us. We cannot rely on him. Look at all the top 6 games that he has missed since being at Arsenal. This is the thing, Jez, yeah? It is always big games, like when it's crunch time, that this guy is missing. And listen, we all love Thomas Partey. He's probably our most important player in terms, especially in midfield anyway, because Granit Xhaka, as good as he's been this season, he can literally hit the effort switch anytime he wants. And the game at the weekend, I mean, I don't know what he was doing. That was Granit Xhaka for the last 6 years, wasn't it? And the Man City game, he wasn't great at all either. But the fact he's not in training again today, where are we going to fix this? Because we can't do anything until the summer. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, he is a massive, massive part of how good we are. But what do we do? Do we get a backup that's as good as him? Yeah, and then rotate him to keep him fit for longer. But then obviously we lose him. But then the backup's coming in. It's not Jorginho. It's not El Neni. It's not Lokonga. We have to go out there and get a better one. Or do we just hope he stays fit? What would you do?
No, we've got to get back up, Lee. It's quite clear ever since we've had Thomas Partey, he hasn't lasted a whole season. I think he's one of these players that plays with such high intensity that he almost injures himself. I mean, he picked that injury up, didn't he, in the FA Cup game against Man City. Arteta played him again, substituted him, and then he's gone broken. Happened last year when he came back from the AFCON and he went out injured, and he was out for a long time. And I think he will be out for quite a while. He seems to me that sort of player. Now, at this point in time, we have nobody of his level. People say to me, "Oh, you know," some of my friends I had a drink with yesterday said, "Oh, you know, Jorginho, you know, he's this and that." I said, "Well, he's not Thomas Partey. He's a totally different player. Jorginho is decent, don't get me wrong, but he's not. He's slow. Great goal. I mean, all right, it was given an own goal, but it's a great strike. You can't deny it. But he's not the man to replace Partey. So I'm sorry, we're going to have to hold our breath, and we're going to have to rely on what we've got to replace him at the moment. In Jorginho or El Neni. I actually like El Neni. I don't think he's that bad. He never complains. He always does a shift. And I think he's fairly decent. But yeah, not the levels. So I think we're just have to try and muscle through this, Lee, until we can get to the summer window. And then once again, we're going to have to rely on Edu, who I don't trust at all. I think the bloke's a complete fraud. And I don't like him at all. It's not personal. I just don't think he delivers for the club in what we need in getting these players in. He's proved it for the last 2 seasons in the January transfer window. So we need to go out. We need to go shopping, and we need to look at this properly. And I'll just say this, Lee, Kenny, if we do win the Premier League, if we do, and we're in the Champions League next season, we seriously are going to have to invest big money, because there's no way on earth we would even get out of qualifying stages, if I have to say, with this squad. We're not good enough. We might get away with it winning the Premier League, and I'll say that this is going to upset a lot of people. We're getting away with it because there's a lot of teams around us are playing shit, and we're getting away with it. We had a great start of the season. We've gone through a dip. Hopefully, we're now out of that dip, and we're going to move forward, and we'll win the Premier League. I really, really, really hope so. But we do not have the squad, people, to compete in Europe. No chance.
Yeah. What about you, Kenny? What would you do with Partey? Because you've made it obvious all season. This guy is our best player. He's the most important player. But at the same time, when he's missing, man, we look so crap at times, don't we?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I think the thing is, right, is that there's sort of three players. You talk about injury-prone players, and the players that have tend to be for injury-prone are Emile Smith-Rowe, Kieran Tierney, and Thomas Partey. This sounds controversial, but Emile Smith-Rowe and Kieran Tierney proved to be dispensable to the extent that we actually look a better team in the attack when they're not playing. With Thomas Partey, he's indispensable. Even if you can get him fit for 85% of the season, Arsenal are doing well to the extent that he's so vital. If we can keep his fight as long as we can, then we'll be challenged for the title for more seasons than we won't. That's how good this guy is. So Jez is right. We have to get a backup to him. But you know, one guy, I think Adam made a really good point about Thomas Partey, that the actual position that the midfield will actually improve us is that I know he's only been here 2 minutes, and you don't want to sort of disrespect, you know, the contribution that Granit Xhaka has made, especially in the advanced area of the midfield. But I think if you look at them going into the championship round, the midfield pairing and trio, which I think will make us play better football, is actually Thomas Partey, Jorginho, and Odegaard, because of simple reasons that Thomas Partey, Jorginho will help us control possession, and that will free Thomas Partey to sort of do the sort of dirty jobs, such as you know, picking up play picking up the ball from the back four, and you know, getting in those areas where you can help Benjamin White, help Zinchenko, help the defenders, and then Jorginho could play that sort of like I said, role where he lends you the ball. You give it to him, but you've got to get it back to him, and then you make a run, and he's going to give you that little pass. I think Granit Xhaka is better in a sort of advanced role, but in the areas where he's trying to cover for Thomas Partey when he's not playing. Again, it's not. You can see that the quality of his play is not of the level that we'd like. So, saying that shows you how good Partey is. You know, it's going back to my point about dispensability and indispensability. Partey's indispensable. You have to, you know, get someone who could come in for him or play alongside him. But the player who we buy, it could come in for him, should also be able to play alongside him, but to also take over for him when he's injured. He's that good. You know, the thought of selling Thomas Partey is, for me, is inexplicable and unthinkable, really, because people talk about Kante. Well, he's our Kante. He's that good, Thomas Partey. You speak to anyone, all the people who were last season saying Xhaka's our midfield and, you know, talking about the distance Xhaka covered. Sorry, Thomas Partey's levels above this guy. I mean, he's twice as good, if not 3 times as good as Xhaka. And that's not an insult to Xhaka because he's been a very good servant to us. But you watch Thomas Partey at his best. You watch our play before the World Cup, and who everyone talks about Odegaard's goals, Saka's performances, Xhaka, you know, having those man of matches. Thomas Partey was our best player, head and shoulders above everyone. He's indispensable, guys. Indispensable.
Yeah, mate, I agree. I think it's quite clear as soon as he's off the pitch that we just get walked through at times, man. And listen, Granit Xhaka's had a great season. Yeah, I'd still at this point say that he's in the top 3 players of the season for us. I'd have Saka first, Thomas Partey a very, very, very close second, and then after that, I'd say Granit Xhaka. The problem we've got with Xhaka, well, I'm going to give my opinion on the good things Granit Xhaka is. Number one, he's always available. Yeah, so that's a good thing. He's always available. He's never injured, really, is he? Let's be honest. Yeah. Number two, yeah, he does give 100, even if 100 ain't good enough at times. He does try. Yeah, fair play to him. I know that shouldn't be a thing. They should all try, but he does give his best. The problem with him is his passing's very good as well, by the way. Yeah, I think his short passing's a lot better than his long passing. Like when we signed him, it was seeing on compilations of 60-yard diagonals. You're not Pirlo, mate. Yeah, and I think this season he's realised he's not Pirlo. The manager's told him you're not Pirlo. Yeah, just go and keep it short, sweet, quick. Yeah, he needs to shoot more. I mean, we see that the other night when he had that great chance against City. Why didn't you just hit it, mate? That could have got us right back in the game. Instead, a couple of minutes later, the game's gone. And like little things like that, decision making for me is a big issue for him. Like he has a chance to pass Martinelli already in that game as well. Yeah, any decent level footballer makes a simple pass. Martinelli's clean through one-on-one with a keeper, or Eddie's going in, shot, parry, Martinelli tapping. Instead, he divered and hung on to the ball. His decision-making at times is just a joke. This season, he's got a lot better. But I think the problem with him is he can't sustain the level he's got to this season for a whole season. He ain't that player. Yeah, and when he goes from being up here to being down here, which coincides with Partey being out as well, all of a sudden we look like the Arsenal we were last season, which we did against Villa, we did against Everton, we did against Brentford. Like them 3 games, we got very, very lucky against Aston Villa. Listen, I don't care. We'll take it. We're back top of the league. But if we're going into the Leicester game and we're giving up some of the opportunities that we gave up Villa, yeah, and we're getting walked through the midfield like we did at the weekend for 65 minutes or so, then we are going to be punished because Leicester have got a better midfield than Aston Villa. Yeah, we were also very lucky at times with the way that players were just out of position in that game. And Arteta, hopefully this week, with a week of full, solid concentration on that game without a midweek game, hopefully he can rectify some of them problems. I agree with you, Kenny, though. Yeah, I do think Jorginho, his longer passing there is miles better than Xhaka. The problem is they're both very slow, right? And they're both decision-making at times is all over the place. I mean, I see somebody sent me a tweet earlier. With the ball, Jorginho, his stats were through the roof. Yeah, without the ball, they were in the gutter. And this is the problem. Him and Xhaka, with and without the ball, it's night and day. They're both very good with the ball, and they recycle the ball very well to keep the ball ticking, and their passing's decent, whether it be long or short passing. Without the ball, they're weak, they're slow, they don't smell danger. Yeah, and luckily, Jorginho took that shot, because otherwise we'd be sitting here talking about a totally different game. Because if he hadn't, in the 93rd minute, that game would have ended 2-2, mate. We'd all be sitting here doom and gloom. Do you know what I mean?
The BBC thought again, the BBC Sport website, football website thought it was. I don't know what happened. I don't know whether the guy had to collect his daughter from a taekwondo class, or he needed to go to the toilet, or he had a barber's appointment. I don't know what he was on, but this is an institution, a worldwide institution, not a national institution, a worldwide institution. How can they get that wrong? The BBC.
It's mad, isn't it? But this is what they do, man. They thought the game was done. They thought, yeah, Arsenal ain't really doing it. And we weren't really doing anything. Let's be real. We weren't exactly flying shot after shot at their goal at that point. Yeah. Thank God Martinelli came on and changed the game, man. Yeah, he was superb when he came on. And he set the Jorginho shot up. He scored the 4th goal, the killer goal. Yeah, and great substitution in the end from Arteta. Yeah, there's a comment here as well.
How many marks have we given the player ratings, Lee? Because I think we got criticised for not giving higher marks.
We could give them all. We could give them 10 out of 10. People still hate on it. Kenny.
One of us gave Vieira a 4, but because he created an assist, he should have got a bigger mark. And I think I gave Martinelli a 5, but he scored. He's got an assist, so they thought my marking was too stingy.
Yeah, somebody was crying about Tierney getting a 5 and Vieira getting a 4. Listen, you can cry all you like. Yeah. You can just leave your own ratings rather than crying about it, because we're going to be back again against Leicester. Do you know what I mean? There was a comment in here as well. Let me see if I can find it very quickly before I come to this super chat. Smash the likes up. There's over 600 people in here. Make sure you sub to JEZ'S channel, Arsenal History and More. It's in the description. Make sure you follow Kenny Ken 1972 on Insta. That's in the description. Pinned comment in the live on Facebook and YouTube is the second channel, my second channel. I'll have a video out every Friday at 10 p.m. UK time. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. I've recorded that. That's gone to Mohammed. He's going to edit it this week. I can't find the comment. It was something about why don't we play Zinchenko in midfield and then play... Hey, here we go. No, that's not it. I can't find it. It's gone. Why don't we play midfield with Zinchenko? And listen, I think when people were moaning, because I think you said, Jez, play him at number 10 or something, can drop Odegaard at times, yeah, Zinchenko. A lot of people don't realise that Zinchenko was actually a number 10 before he signed for City.
Yeah, he was.
And then Pep made him a left back. So this is why his short passing is extremely good. Yeah, he is very good with his movement. He'll pass and move. You don't just admire his passes. He's a very good footballer, Zinchenko. He's not a very good defender. And that's because all the way through youth level and coming up into adult level, before he signed for City, he was never a defender. No. And then Pep's turned him into a defender. And again, if you go back and look at, I know they've won league titles with Zinchenko in that. I've said this all the time. The way Pep plays, the way we play, with that inverted fullback, especially on that left side of our defence, if you get a team that can quickly do a diagonal ball across against City or against us, you're in. You are in every time. Yeah, because if Xhaka's up the pitch, Zinchenko's up the pitch, Partey's up the pitch, we're playing a high line, all of a sudden they can't all get back quick enough. You're in down that side every time. And it happens with City, it happens with us. Luckily, both of our teams this season have been fantastic, yeah, at dealing with that. But we're going to see that more and more in the coming weeks, because every team is going to have sat there, played against us for the second time now, and thought, right, that's a weak point for Arsenal. That's a weak point for City, which is why it makes it intriguing. Very quickly before I come to this, let me come to you, Jez. Man United are 5 points behind. We do have a game in hand. Do you think they're a threat? Do you think they're in the title race?
Well, they are now. And I said this, Lee, just before Christmas. You can never, ever write off Man United. You just don't do that to a team of that quality. Yes, they've been crap for years, but so have we. We're top of the league. They're now up there, and you can't write them off. You know, they are, I think, maybe getting a little bit confident with the fact of maybe the Glazers are going to sell them. I don't know. But 6 billion, I believe, is the asking fee. So, you just don't write off teams like Man United. No chance. You know,
especially when they've got so many match winners as well. I know Rashford's taking all the glory at the moment and scoring all the goals, but they've got Bruno who can score goals. They've Sancho's back in the team. He's scoring goals. Cracking goal at the weekend, his goal. They're a great team move. Yeah, they've got they've got Martial. I know he's in and out of the team through injuries and that, but he can score goals. Yeah, Weghorst staying in the team really to score goals. He's never been prolific, but with him in the team, they're looking like a different outfit. Hold the ball up, play it around the corner, and he'll do a job for 60 minutes, 70 minutes, then sub him. Yeah, and it's no coincidence that since Ronaldo's left, they've been playing a lot better. Yeah, and it is. And I know you love him, Kenny, but let me ask you, do you think they're in a title race? Because if...
Well, the thing about it earlier,
Go on, mate.
Poor old Veagles, they did everything to try and set the man up. Every pass... They were desperate for him to score. I mean, he scored in the semi-finals in the first leg of the Carabao again in Nottingham Forest. But you are right. He's given them a fulcrum in order for Rashford to make his runs, and he takes defenders out of their out of their sort of comfort zone. So they could challenge the title. But the thing is, they got 4 key games for me. They got in the 4th of March, I believe the 5th of March, they've got Liverpool at Anfield, who a lot of people think could sneak into that top 4 because they're getting all their strikers and backup players back with Jota. Miriam Diaz is coming back as well. So that's a pivotal game for Man United. Also, they've got Chelsea at Old Trafford. all right, it's not the Chelsea, it's Graham Potter's Chelsea. So one thing we all know is Chelsea, they won't score many goals. So you'll
they've scored 5
Chelsea
since
fans
November. Chelsea 5
yeah,
goals
I know.
since November.
Chelsea fans will have to hope that they don't concede, and then also they got Spurs.
I had to shave my beard off, mate. I do not want to be associated with Graham Potter anymore.
You have to. It's like they got to go White Lane where they win every year. Sorry, White Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and then also they got to play Newcastle at St James's Park. They win those 4 games. They're definitely in a title race because, as I said earlier in the podcast, I expect Man City and Arsenal to drop points coming into the sort of business end of the season. So Man United win those 4 key games, and they keep Rashford fit. And again, who knows? 3 clubs could be in the hand come the 28th of May this year. But I can tell you now, there's 100% going to be 2 clubs vying for that gold trophy going into the 28th of May. And at the moment, I expect to be Arsenal and Man City. But Man United win those 4 key games, then you can't write them off. You just cannot.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're in there, man. I can't lie. Before we wrap this up, I am going live with Henry in a minute. I'm putting the link in his for his stream in the chat. So make sure you show some love afterwards. Big up Vegas Gunner.
How is Henry anyway?
He's buzzing. They beat West Ham, mate, and they're obviously loving life.
That's their mini derby. That's their mini derby, isn't it?
Yeah, Mark Noble's a Spurs fan as well. He's sat there with the Spurs pennant on his tie. They're loving life, mate. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, loving life. Big up Vegas Gunner, man. Why do some people think we're going to... Say again, mate.
Harry Kane got a trophy yesterday.
Oh, that was cringe. I'm going to rip him apart in a minute. Yeah, well done, Harry, for scoring 267 goals that led to no trophies for the football club. Mad. Yeah. Crazy. Why do some people think we're going to play backups in the Europa League round of 16? Most of our backups aren't good enough. Jez, let me come to you on that, mate.
I haven't actually seen that comment or heard that, but if we did that, then it would be an absolute disgrace. We are crap in Europe, but that doesn't mean that you actually would do something so stupid to do that, because we need to bolster we need to win in Europe. We've won 2 bloody European trophies in the history of Arsenal, and a club this big, that is appalling, shocking. And no, I mean, if that's what's being said, and I haven't seen it myself, that's disgusting, because we need to actually prove that this football club can compete on more than one front. We've done it before, Lee. We did it. We got to European Cup final, and I think still to this day we were cheated. I don't care what anybody says, and that is fact. But no. If you're in that competition and we've got into that position, then you have to fight on all fronts, and that will be a massive, massive test for this squad and for Mr. Arteta.
What about you, Kenny? Why do you think people are saying it? Is it because of the fact that let's just go all in for the title? Because we've tried this before, haven't we?
I respect their views on that, but you just can't do it because simple reason is that, good teams, don't get me wrong, to be a great side and to show that we've got some sort of caliber, we want to win. We want to win another trophy as well as the Premiership. Don't get me wrong, we're going to have a fantastic season if we win the Premiership. But to cement that by winning the Europa League as well would be fantastic, because that would show, you know what, this is a really, really good side, and that we mean business, that, we have the right mentality to win trophies, not just the Championship, but also to win in Europe. Remember, let's not forget, in 98 and 2002, I consider them better seasons than the Invincibles. I think the best team we ever had was the Arsene Wenger's 2002 team. We went on to win the double because I thought we were just formidable. And then after that, I had George Graham's team that in 91, and then I have the Invincibles after that. But I think with this team, I look at Man United when they won the league in 1994. they did the double. And that's probably one of their best sides ever. Some people think they're better than the treble winning side, but to show Man United's, like how do I say it, greatness, they won a treble. Same, and that's what I would like for Arsenal. I would like Arsenal to win the league and the Europa League because, again, as Jez says, a club of our size to win only 2 trophies in Europe, one 24 years apart, it's a disgrace, really. It's an absolute disgrace. For a club of our size, and it's a tragedy.
The thing is, as well, is if we do throw away the Europa League, that's 3 cup competitions we've thrown in the bin. Yeah, and the hope that we have the bigger fish to fry. Yeah. And if we don't fry that fish, Spurs end up not winning the league, then what?
Spurs have won more European trophies than us, Lee.
Everyone?
Spurs have won more European trophies than us. That's
mad, isn't it?
That's
mad.
They've won more than us.
Like, I understand why people are saying that about thin squad and we can't compete on. Well, okay, let me put this in the chat real quick before we wrap up here, and I'll ask you as well, Jez, and I'll ask you, Kenny, and then we've got to wrap up, right? I'll come to you first, Jez, and the chat play along. If we had qualified for Champions League, not finished 5th last season, how much more money do you think we would have spent? Like in the summer window and the January window, because how much did we spend in the summer? About 100 mil? And then we spent about 50 odd mil in the. So we spent about 150 mil this season. How much more money do you think we would have spent if we had qualified for Champions League instead of Europa?
That's a great question. That is a very, very good question. I think if Arsenal had qualified for the Champions League, they would have spent probably another 150 mil because purely and simply, there's more money coming back in from the Champions League with TV, all the qualifying through the different rounds and all that. So I think we have to look at it. The way I'm going to say this, I could be totally wrong, talking absolute rubbish, which I probably am. When we were in the Champions League, 25 years consistently, Arsenal earned millions and millions and millions of pounds. And it was Arsene Wenger in his latter years that thought it was his own personal bank and bought crap and didn't spend, sold players, which I think at times he shouldn't have done, got rid of players, or players left because of the lack of ambition. Van Persie, a point, left us, went to Man United. People called him a snake. No, he actually left because he saw Arsenal had no ambition. We were going along on the crest of the wave, but not going anywhere. So purely and simply, to answer your question, Lee, if we'd qualified for the Champions League, I think they would have spent probably last summer another 150 million, because of the simple fact it generates more cash revenue to back into the club.
What about you, Kenny?
Well, I can understand there's a lot of people who are pessimistic, and I respect their pessimism because they're saying, well, nothing will change in terms of expenditure. But that's the challenge, isn't it, Jason? We're not. If you want to be taken seriously and call yourself a big club and meet the standards that all three of us demand, then we've got to be a club that wants to win the league, wants to win the Champions League. So we have to spend at least another 150, not 200 million pounds, and we have to hold Edu to his word, because I don't want top 4 Arsenal. Will we do it? Well, realistically, I think we would, because one of our arguments over the last 3 years on podcasts involving all three of us is that we've calculated that Arsenal have been bigger spenders than a lot of our rivals, if not all of them, and we're paying just as much salary. So if we are going to challenge, then yes, the club are going to have to do what they've done before, but twice the amount of expenditure. They have to. No choice. You won't get this chance
the reason
again.
I asked that question is because if that was the case, well, we were obviously going to get some of the money back. I get that. Yeah, but why didn't they just do it anyway and go all in for the title? Yeah, because they didn't believe they could win the title. Yeah, now we're sitting here worried that we've got a thin squad, we can't compete on 2 fronts. And if we and we knew that we were top of the table at Christmas, we knew the January window was open, we knew we were pretty much nailed on for Champions League for next season anyway. Just got to do some dough. And instead, they faffed around with 2 signings and allowed 2 of the 3 to go to Chelsea, and 1, well, at least we kept a relationship with Brighton and that. So yeah, I'm a little bit fuming that if we was going to spend some more money, they didn't just do it anyway. Because let's be real, if we'd had a couple of extra players this season, we'd probably be about 13 points clear. Yeah, and that ain't even taking the piss and exaggerating. Yeah, Man City have not been the Superman.
It's a good point. It's a good point, though, because simple reason is that one of the things we've kind of we're all kind of in agreement in is that Mikel finds it very difficult to rotate because he hasn't got players to rotate with. Simple. So players that we want to have rest, and it's not going to get rest because who's there to come in for them of similar quality? You know what I mean? The players who are not up to the level have been sent out on loan anyway. And there was one player who's been on so many loans that, we haven't actually got him on the pitch in the last 2 games when he's fit enough to be on the bench because the levels of quality between him and the first teamers.
Mad, isn't it? It's crazy. We are going to wrap this up, people. I'm going live with Henry Wright. Make sure you follow the link that I've just spammed in my own chat. So make sure you go and check Henry Wright out. Make sure you sub to JEZ'S channel. The link is in the description. Big up Mr. Bees. It says great win. Kenny, great win for England in the cricket.
No.
Excellent. Bazball. I love Bazball. Bazball's fantastic to watch. Trust me, guys. Go stay up late to watch the second test between England and New Zealand. You're going to love it.
No.
I'll be sleeping, mate.
I'll be painting the ceiling. I'd rather paint the ceilings, to be honest.
What you got coming up, Jez?
Right. Well, tomorrow night, obviously, I'm not around. I'm on a major piss up tomorrow. So I'll be on the curry and the beer, and I'm not having a file, Lee. I did it once, and I'm never going there again. And so Wednesday night, 6 o'clock podcast, Lee and Kenny, Gracie May, and a new YouTube channel, Laguna Gatherers. Really, really nice people. 3 guys, a lady, Fran, and 2 other fellas. They're really, really lovely people. They talk absolute facts.
Can't wait to meet them.
Yeah, they're really nice, mate. They really are. And Fran is an artist, does artistic stuff all about Arsenal.
Hang on, we know her, Lee, don't we?
Yeah, I think I've spoken to this woman before. I think I have.
From Twitter. She does this sort of. She says sane sketches.
That's it.
Yeah. I have. She's emailed me before. She was gonna send some paintings over, and then COVID hit. But yeah, I've spoke to her before. Yeah,
she's really good. And the other 2 fellas. And so that'd be good. There'll be 7 of us on, including myself. So that should be a fun evening for an hour. So everybody come and join. I am 4 away from 3,400 subs.
How many?
3,400.
How many away from it?
Well done, mate.
4, I think.
4. We'll get it done then, people. Come on.
I think it's 4.
Subscribe. You haven't.
That's a milestone for me. I never thought in any time I'd ever get that many subs ever. So it's getting better. It's getting better.
There you go. Your link's in the chat as well. Kenny, what you got coming up, mate?
Well, not much. I'm probably going to watch a bit of TV. I ain't going to watch EastEnders. It's rubbish. But I am going to watch the Champions League games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Obviously, after I've done my podcast at 6 o'clock with you, your good selves. But apart from that, any cricket that's available, I'll watch it. You've got the T20 Women's ICC World Cup in South Africa. You've got Australia versus India. Australia are making showing a weak underbelly. They're just throwing out the white flag in India, and England are winning in the cricket. Everything's good. I haven't got time to watch the rugby because I'm not really a big rugby fan.
There you go. I'll be back in literally about 2 minutes. I'm going to go toilet, make a coffee, and then I'm on with Henry Wright. Big up to everybody in the chat, man. Big up to everyone who's dropped donations in as well. Appreciate it. Big up to everyone who checked out the stream I did on Sage's channel, the stream I did earlier on here. If you haven't gone, check that out. And yeah, come and join in with Henry Wright. Tomorrow, I'll be back again at 1 p.m. on here. Then I'm on with Terry Flewers. That should be fun. At 3:30. And then I'm back on here at 5 with Rants. And I think, not sure. Let me just double check real quick. I think I've got another stream tomorrow. I've written it down. So let me just double check real quick. What day is it tomorrow? Tuesday. I don't think I can find it. See, I'm on the spot. There we go. No, that's it tomorrow. So yeah, all good. Make sure you come and check that out. Subscribe to the second channel. Video will be out Friday, 10 p.m. We're out of it. Edu out.
Before you crescent.